Today, we're going to unravel the life and words of a poet who could challenge entire empires with just a single couplet. This is our explainer on Kabir, the weaver of truth. I searched for the crooked, none could I behold. When I searched my own self, none was more crooked than I. That right there, that's the voice of Kabir. It's so sharp, so direct, and, it just immediately turns the mirror right back on us. This kind of radical self-reflection is really at the very heart of everything he had to say. So, who exactly was this person who could pack such a profound punch into just a few words? Well, that brings us right into our first section, a man of mystery. Now, on the surface, the answer seems pretty simple. Kabir was a humble weaver who lived in 15th century Benares, what we now call Varanasi. But from this seemingly ordinary life, he rose to become one of India's most radical, most revolutionary spiritual voices. But that simple biography, it hides a huge paradox. Was he a Hindu saint or a Sufi mystic? I mean, look at the facts. On one side, he was born into a Muslim weaver family. His name, Kabir, even comes from the Arabic al-Kabir, the Great, which is one of the names for God in Islam. But then, on the other side, he was a famous disciple of the Hindu ascetic Ramananda, and many upper caste Hindus claim him, saying they hear echoes of their own sacred texts in his poetry. So, how did Kabir solve this puzzle? Well, he just refused to play the game at all. He consistently rejected every label, famously saying that Hindus and Muslims are simply pots of the same clay. And that idea that we share this fundamental humanity, that's the thread that runs through his entire philosophy. Let's move on and see how this universal vision fueled a really powerful social critique. This is the Weaver's Rebellion. To really get how radical Kabir was, you have to picture the world he was born into. 15th century India. It was a time of extreme religious rules and super rigid social structures, all under the Delhi Sultanate. Tensions were high, really high, between Hindu and Muslim communities. And most importantly, society was governed by a strict caste hierarchy, where weavers, like Kabir, the Jalaha, were way down on the social ladder. And into this powder keg, Kabir just threw sparks. His verses relentlessly attacked the pillars of the establishment. He took aim at the caste system, at blind religious dogma, at meaningless rituals, institutional power, and the deep social inequality that all of this created. Seriously, nothing was sacred and no one was safe from his piercing insights. And this Stoha just illustrates his method brilliantly. Reading books, the world died. None became wise. 2.5 letters of love make one wise. He was arguing that true wisdom isn't found in, memorizing ancient texts or performing complicated rituals. No, it was found in genuine, lived experience, in something as simple and profound as love. So if he was tearing down all these external structures, what was he offering in their place? This brings us right to the core revelation of his philosophy, beyond God's form. Okay, the key concept here is Nirguna Bhakti. Nirguna literally means without qualities, or without form. Now, at a time when most devotion, or bhakti, was saguna, meaning it was directed at a god with a specific form, like Krishna or a Sufi saint, Kabir's idea was just revolutionary. He was talking about devotion to a divine reality that's universal, formless, and ultimately beyond human description, a direct personal connection that needs no one in the middle. And this is the key that unlocks everything. See, if the ultimate reality is formless and universal, that all the arguments over whether to call it Ram or Allah become completely meaningless. This one single idea made the religious divisions of his time totally irrelevant. At the end of the day, Kabir's God wasn't a subject for scholars to debate. It wasn't some doctrine to be memorized. It was a personal experience, an inner truth to be awakened to and realized for yourself. It was a massive shift from the external world of ritual to the internal world of consciousness. And this powerful idea, it didn't just disappear. It wove itself into the very fabric of Indian culture. So let's look at his legacy in our final section, a timeless tapestry. His words have been so carefully preserved for centuries in collections like the Bijak, which is a central text for his followers. And famously, hundreds of his verses are also included in the Guru Granth Sahib, the most sacred scripture of Sikhism. That alone just cements his place in the spiritual canon of India. His influence today is absolutely immense, and it's so diverse. You've got the Kabir Panth, a whole religious community dedicated to his teachings, carrying his message forward.
His poetry is still sung as folk music in villages all across India. He's even been adopted as a secular icon by activists fighting for social unity. His ideas really were foundational for later social reform movements.
And this is exactly why he still matters so much today. Kabir's message is way more than just a piece of history. It offers what some people have called a timeless resistance against the forces of division, hate, and dogma that, let's be honest, continue to challenge our modern world. His call for inner truth is just as urgent now as it was 6 centuries ago.
And so, Kabir leaves us with a profound challenge. He spent his entire life weaving truth and shattering the illusions of his society. And the final question? Well, it turns that very same challenge right back to us. What illusion will you shatter? Join the awakening, humbly like, share, comment below, and subscribe to Sacred Vantage Bliss for more mystical journeys.